Hey Sam fam, just a quick note. We want to let you know that our website is live at sambienceBTG.com. We believe that improving women's health with self-care can transform the collective well-being of the world for the better. That's why we put together this awesome guide with great self-care tips for women. We have topics that range from sleep, stress, nutrition, to security, preparedness, and holistic health. And with that said, let's jump right in and let's get to it. Hey! You're watching The Take with me, Tammy the health coach at Sambience BTG. And today we want to take the time out to acknowledge the stress and the anxiety that may be caused by the 2024 election. This election is different because we have two sides that couldn't be, more different. On the one side, we have the insurrectionist and the convicted felon who wants to be a dictator on day one and who has a horrible agenda mapped out in the publicly available Project 2025 that paints America in a dark and miserable future. And on the other hand, we have the prosecutor who will uphold the law, who will be a president for all Americans, and who will uphold democracy. She wants to move forward and not backward, and her vision of America is one of freedom and opportunity. So this is really confusing for a lot of us, because the polls couldn't be closer. The polls are basically showing that the election is a coin flip. And of course, for those of us with any kind of sanity or common sense or love for democracy and freedom, we're feeling uneasy. We're tempted to be given over to feelings of despair, hopelessness, and powerlessness, but we can't do that. We cannot do that because if we do that, then we stop fighting. And we cannot stop fighting because as VP Harris says it, when we fight, we win. So Kamala Harris had some words of hope in a town hall event that she did on Monday, October the 21st with Liz Cheney. And let's roll that clip now.
But if I can just speak to what people are feeling. We cannot despair. We cannot despair. You know, the nature of a democracy is such that I think there's a duality. On the one hand, there's an incredible strength when our democracy is intact. An incredible strength in what it does to protect the freedoms and rights of its people. Oh, there's great strength in that. And it is very fragile. It is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. And so that's the moment we're in. And I say do not despair because in a democracy, as long as we can keep it, in our democracy, the people, every individual has the power to make a decision about what this will be. And so let's not feel powerless. Let's not let and I get it, overwhelming nature of this all make us feel powerless because then we have been defeated. And that's not our character as the American people. We are not one to be defeated. We rise to a moment and we stand on broad shoulders of people who have fought this fight before for our country. And in many ways, let us look at the challenge then that we are being presented and not be overwhelmed by it. The baton is now in our hands to fight for, not against, but for this country we love. That's what we have the power to do. So let's own that. Dare I say, be joyful in what we will do in the process of owning that, which is knowing that we can and will build community and coalitions and remind people that we're all in this together. Let's not let the overwhelming nature of this strip us of our strength. That's how I feel about this.
So I love that speech by VP Harris because she gives great cause for the American people to have hope and strength. And I also like how she mentioned that this is not the first time that Americans have had to win this fight. And what she means by that is that this is not the first time that we've had fascists in America. They've been here for a long time, since the time of Schmatzi Germany and even before then. And please excuse the use of the word schmatzi on certain platforms. They're red flag words that we want to avoid. So let's talk about the famous British director Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock came over from Britain to the US. He was given an opportunity and he became this big famous filmmaker. And after he became famous, he was able to rub shoulders with the rich and the powerful here in the US. And in those circles, he was able to hear a lot of pro-fascist talk, something that was alarming to him. So much so that he made a commentary in one of his films, and that's the 1942 film Saboteur. In that movie, there's a scene where a working class character asks a well-off businessman, why does he hate America so much? If he's done so well for himself, why? And the answer is very telling. Let's roll that clip.
Why is it that you sneer every time you refer to this country? You've done pretty well here. I don't get it.
No, you wouldn't. You're one of the ardent believers, a good American. Oh, there are millions like you. People that plod along without asking questions. I hate to use the word stupid, but it seems to be the only one that applies. The great masses, the moron millions. Well, there are a few of us who are unwilling to just troop along. A few of us who are clever enough to see that there's much more to be done than just live small, complacent lives. A few of us in America who desire a more profitable type of government. When you think about it, Mr. Kane, the competence of totalitarian nations is much higher than ours. They get things done.
Yeah, they get things done. They bomb cities, sink ships, torture and murder so you and your friends can eat off of gold plate. It's a great philosophy.
I neither intend to be bombed nor sunk, Mr. Kane. That's why I'm leaving now. And if things don't go right for you, if we should win, then I'll come back. Perhaps I can get what I want then. Power. Yes. I want that as much as you want your comfort or your job or that girl. We all have different tastes, as you can see. Only I'm willing to back my tastes with the necessary force.
So we have the answer. The wealthy character hates democracy. He thinks that fascism is a more profitable form of government. So in short, he's hungry for power. We as Americans know someone like this. Someone who came to our country, who's done well for himself, who's extremely wealthy, but who's against democracy. And he's doing everything that he can to sway the outcome of the 2024 election. It's not hard to guess who we're talking about here. Electric cars, rocket ships, etc. #Dork maga. Further evidence of the presence of fascists in America is presented in the Rollingstone article titled "The Plot Against American Democracy That Isn't Taught in Schools," written by Jonathan M. Katz. The article is about the attempted fascist coup in the U.S. in the 1930s. It was called the Business Plot and was planned between 1933 and 1934. The goal was to overthrow the president at the time, FDR, using the military and to prevent the New Deal from happening. However, the plan was revealed to the press by Marine Corps General Smedley Butler, the man chosen to lead the coup. The business plot was clearly treason, but because it was organized by some of the most richest and most powerful people in America, like the DuPont family, it was all swept under the rug. The article's author, Jonathan Katz, compares the business plot to the insurrection that occurred on January 6th of 2021. Because, similarly, the instigator of that insurrection, Donald J. Trump, has not been brought to justice. In fact, he's been given every opportunity to weasel his way out of paying for any crime that he's ever committed. So much so that he's been able to run for president for the third time in a decade. By the way, no one else has been afforded this luxurious privilege of delaying conviction and sentencing of crimes committed so that we can run for president and clear ourselves of all charges with a presidential pardon should we win. Just saying that out loud sounds insane. And we know that there are still going to be people who have a problem with us referring to Donald Trump as a fascist, which is ridiculous. The man said he wants to be a dictator on day one. His previous Joint Chief of Staff stated that Trump fit the textbook definition of what a fascist is, and that he said he wanted generals like Hitler's generals. Donald Trump also praises dictators like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, like he really wants to join the club. He even threw a hate rally at Madison Square Garden on October the 27th in homage to the American Nazi Party's rally, also held at Madison Square Garden in 1939. And for those of you who are going to say that it's a coincidence, consider the words of Tim Walz. Don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there. And another thing, The American Nazi Party held their rally on George Washington's birthday in 1939 and had a large image erected of the first president surrounded by swastikas. The point of that was to hide behind the claim of being pro-American, and I say that term in quotes. Similarly, Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden also claimed to be pro-American and a place for patriots. But the whole rally centered on racism, misogyny, xenophobia, and just outright hatred and division. At one point, the island of Puerto Rico was referred to as a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean. Newsflash, Donald Trump, Puerto Rico is a part of America. This just goes to show that Donald Trump doesn't see people who are different from him as people. Not women, not other races, not other cultures, and the list goes on. So why on earth does he have a chance of winning? PoliticsGirl on YouTube has an interesting answer to this question. And the answer is that some polling is making it look like Trump is winning when that's not the case. In real life, PoliticsGirl is Leah McGowan, a New York Times bestselling author. She claims that for every Democratic poll, there's about 20 Republican polls. And the goal of this is to make it look like Trump is in the lead when he's not. The Republicans want to create this illusion of winning so that when Trump loses, they can claim that the election was rigged. In fact, a very important nonpartisan poll was just released, the Ann Seltzer poll. The Ann Seltzer poll measures the outcome of elections specifically for the state of Iowa. It is known for being highly accurate, and in fact, between 2008 and 2022, there has only been one election that the Ann Seltzer poll didn't accurately predict. This year, the poll determined from a sample size of over 50,000 registered voters who were likely to vote that Kamala Harris was up plus 3 points over Donald Trump. This is great news, but we all need to remember the number one rule about elections, and that is that polls don't win elections. Votes win elections. So now we need to focus on what we can do, and that's vote. If you haven't voted already, make a plan to vote and vote early if you can. You can also talk to your family and friends about voting, and you can volunteer to knock on doors, aka canvassing, or to make phone calls, aka phone banking. You could even volunteer as a poll worker, and you can also share pro-democracy content on your social media. Now we're going to shift gears and talk a bit more about stress and anxiety. Donald Trump's policies are outlined in the 900-page document called Project 2025, which is publicly available now. Project 2025 proposes devastating policies like mass deportations, a national abortion ban, repealing civil rights protections, cutting Social Security and Medicare, eliminating the Affordable Care Act, cutting disability benefits, and eliminating the Department of Education. So most Americans would be negatively impacted by these policies, and it's very stress and anxiety inducing to even think about these things happening. But we still need to manage our stress, so we are going to share a couple of resources. One of those is the stress page found at our website at sambiancebtg.com/stress. Our stress page is a guide where you can learn about the different types of stress and the steps of stress management. There is a stress log where you can list triggers and your vulnerability to your triggers. There is also a list of stress relief techniques for different kinds of people like introverts, extroverts, caretakers, and those under job or career pressure, things of that nature. There is also a stress relief technique monitoring system outlined so that you can keep track of which techniques are working for you. The other resource we want to share is 988lifeline.org. This is for people who need someone to talk to right away. The Lifeline includes calls, texts, or chats online. To call or text, dial or send to 988. To chat, visit 988lifeline.org and click chat. And we would like to share a quote from the website. Whether you're facing mental health struggles, emotional distress, alcohol or drug use concerns, or just need someone to talk to, our caring counselors are here for you. You are not alone. All right, now we're almost at the end of this episode of The Take, but what else should we do? Well, we should pray, because we need to remember that we're dealing with people who are threatening violence. In fact, there's already been incidences of fighting at poll stations, as well as some drop-off boxes being lit on fire. Donald Trump has also hinted that he has a secret plan with Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. This plan likely entails trying to stop the certification of the election should he lose. So we can expect a lot of chaos in the next few days. So we need to pray for the safety of ourselves, our family, our friends, the poll workers, those in authority trying to uphold the law, and the democratic process itself. And there's one very last thing that we want you to do. VP Kamala Harris appeared on SNL on Saturday, November the 2nd, and it was so adorable and funny that we want you to look at that clip. When you're done, we want you to remember how you felt after watching it. And no matter what happens with the election, don't let anyone take your joy. And that's The Take with me, Tammy, the health coach at Sambiance BTG. Please like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later. Peace out.